to Twitch. Hello, Twitch. Hello, Moto. Hello, Moto. Okay, now we're on Twitch, allegedly. All right, I'm going to check these streams. Why the fuck is Twitch over here and then the other ones are over there? That doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Okay, we're live. It says we're live. There we go. Turn off my voice. So we got Twitch. We got YouTube. I'm just confirming streams here.
Are you doing a full show?
Yeah. Oh. Shitbag roundup. And feed. It shows the show live there. Yay. Okay. So we're all good. Everything's running. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relief Valve Podcast, the Sunday Shitbag Roundup. We had a special Wednesday Shitbag Roundup to go over stuff, and but it's been a little while since we've done the Sunday Shitbag Roundup, and this one's particularly important because we've had two shootings on opposite sides of the planet here. We've had the shooting of what appears to be a Muslim family. It is a son and a father at this point that have fired on Jewish students and Jewish people hanging out on a beach for Hanukkah. And then additionally, we've had the shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island, with a potential suspect still in custody. But we need to learn more information, and we do have some information. I've been able to find all this, and I'm going to share it with you. So let's start with the United States, because no one really cares about Australia. They're a bunch of idiots over there, but we'll get there. Let's start with Brown University, the shooting that happened over there, and let's get into kind of what we know so far.
In just the last few hours, was taken into custody. A source telling ABC News that was based on a tip that was called in to law enforcement. So that person of interest now in custody, and then they lifted the shelter in place. Many of the students, the people living in this community and the areas surrounding Brown University have been essentially on lockdown, told to stay inside, lock their doors for the entire night. So now that shelter in place has been lifted. We're also getting an update on the status of the victims. 9 total. 7 people are still in stable condition at the hospital. 1 critical. 1 was discharged from the hospital. Of course, 2 students were also shot and killed in this mass shooting. Let's bring in our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky. Aaron, I know you're getting new information about this person of interest. How confident are authorities that they have the shooter?
They're confident they're calling this individual a person of interest, but as you heard the authorities say, they are not looking for anyone else, and they are lifting the shelter-in-place order around Providence, Rhode Island. So right now, they believe they have the individual responsible for killing 2 people and injuring 9 others on the campus of Brown University. The authorities detained this individual of interest, we're told, based on a tip that they received overnight. And the authorities did not put out much for the public to go on. There was a snippet of video showing a figure dressed in black leaving the engineering building, rounding the corner there.
The video there.
That's all the information the public had to know. But that was enough, apparently, for someone to give the authorities a tip, and overnight, police took this individual into custody. The manhunt, then, is now over. The focus now is going to be on getting this individual identified. Already, undoubtedly, the authorities have done that. They'll dig into social media, background, find out what they can about motive. A source tells ABC News this individual is not believed to be a current Brown University student, but the authorities will look to see whether this individual has any connection to Brown University. This shooting occurred at a big lecture hall. A small group was studying for final exams, which are canceled for the day. So the hope was always that someone in that lecture hall may have come back with a better description than the public was able to see in that video. Right now, the authorities are working with the Attorney General's office in Rhode Island to figure out charges. So it appears this individual is going to be charged locally. The FBI was involved, but it does not seem to have a wider nexus to any kind of terror group. That, at least, is what officials believe right now with this individual in custody and the manhunt over.
All right, Aaron Kaczorski for us. We appreciate it. And once again, a large police presence here on the ground around the campus of Brown University. More than 400 officers from various agencies, the FBI, ATF, and local law enforcement on the scene. The shelter in place lifted. And once again, the mayor telling people here that they can breathe a little bit easier as this investigation continues.
Okay, so that's some of the information here. They were at I think some of the information that coming out that they were at economics class, and the shooter came in, opened up on the classroom while everyone was there, teacher and students as well. It kind of goes down as a like a almost music theater type of setup, where the seats start up high when you walk in, and then they come down to end up meeting the professor. So the person was able to come in and start aiming down and taking shots at targets. So what we have for the potential of, and I've been putting this stuff on my X as well, that's Australia. That was a regular citizen grabbing one of the shooters. That was amazing. We'll be getting to that. Man detained in the Brown University shooting identified as Benjamin Erickson, 24 years old, after FBI used cell phone to track him to the hotel. I posted this up on my my X account, Relief Valve Podcast. So it's a suspect in custody right now. Has not been confirmed as the shooter, just that they have a suspect. The man taken into police custody as a person of interest in the shooting at Brown University has been identified as Benjamin Erickson of Wisconsin. I don't know why he was there. They claim that he's not a student, but he's from Wisconsin. So why was an asshole from Wisconsin in Rhode Island? You know, I vacation or something? Who the fuck vacations in Rhode Island? It's a shithole. But anyway, 24-year-old was detained in the early hours of Sunday morning, police confirmed. Let's see. We got, police tape going along here. Some bitch decided to jog, even though a shooting was going on, because, I don't know, you got to get those steps in. It doesn't matter what's happening. Here's the video of him that I just showed earlier, where he's nonchalantly walking around the corner after the shooting and heading to what we believe was his vehicle. Erickson was named by 3 senior law enforcement officials who spoke to NBC News and the Washington Post. He was cuffed, but has not explicitly been named as suspect by the authorities. Cops took him into custody after using geolocation to track him to a hotel room located about 15 miles from the campus in Providence. Agents reportedly recovered 2 firearms, including one with a laser sight attachment. An official briefed on the investigation told the Post. So they just happen to find a guy that has weapons with laser scopes on them. So it seems like this guy is the shooter. Providence Mayor Brett Smiley said residents in the community could breathe a sigh of relief. I wouldn't breathe a sigh of relief in Rhode Island if I lived there. The place sucks. I'm in New England. I can tell you, Rhode Island sucks. But they should continue to do what they're doing, which is to focus our efforts on sending prayers and positive thoughts, because those always work, to those who are recovering at the hospital. 2 people were killed and 9 others injured when gunfire broke out at Brown's engineering building on Saturday. Footage released by police late Saturday showed the alleged shooter moments after leaving the area when the gunfire erupted. In the clip, the suspect is seen calmly turning a corner, walking onto Hope Street, dressed head to toe in dark clothing, with a mask on as well, apparently. Police said his face appears obscured, either by a hood or face covering, making identification difficult. The video then shows the suspected gunman taking a right onto Waterman Street, according to Providence Police Department Commander Timothy O'Hara. Witnesses told investigators he may have been wearing a gray camo face mask at the time. Gunfire erupted on Saturday during the students' second day of final exams for the fall semester. So at this point in time, Brown and maybe some of the other colleges in the area, they have been changed to remote schooling at this point. Everyone will be homeschooling after this shooting. That's the information I've received on this. So Brown University is one of the oldest and most prestigious universities in the U.S. with about 7,300 undergraduates and just over 3,000 graduate students. All classes and exams for the rest of the semester have been canceled, and students are free to go home to their families. So they're not doing anything there at all. I had heard, because there was an arrest of another student in Delaware. He was planning an attack. He wasn't able to go through with it. But they've ended up canceling school or doing remote schooling as well. So there's kind of been just a conflagration of things happening with threats and shootings at schools. Everybody is reeling, and we have a lot of recovery ahead of us. President of Brown University, Christina Paxson, added on Sunday morning. She added that numerous resources are available on campus to help the Brown community process the tragedy. Meanwhile, fellow Brown student Zoe Wiseman has spoken out after now surviving 2 mass shootings in 7 years. They killed 19 in total and left 27 dead. That's gotta fuck with your head if you've survived. You go to school, like there's a mass shooting, and then you go to another school and you're like, what are the odds that this happens again? Honestly, finally I can breathe a sigh of relief. Apparently not for old Zoe Wiseman. Somebody says, I'll take what is left-wing violence for $100. And Rhode Island, definitely a Democrat. Yeah, I agree with that. I said early on, when I first started getting info about this, it's either going to be a transgender person or it's going to be a Muslim. So if I'm proven wrong in this situation here, and it's just some random mentally ill white guy, I'll go ahead and correct that. But we're going to see what this turns into. So I've got somebody speaking out about Candace here that used to work for her company, like her organization, Blexit, when she was doing that. We're going to get to that. University, a student arrested after an alleged plot. This was, I believe, this was the other one that I was talking about when I was reading the story. So the University of Delaware has reportedly suspended student Luqman Khan, that's an American name if I've ever heard one, and banned him from campus after his arrest for allegedly planning an attack on campus police. Law enforcement charged him federally for unlawful machine gun possession, recovering rifles, conversion devices, and tactical gear. The Department of Justice, the DOJ, alleged that Khan's notebooks detailed weapons, assault techniques, and a diagram labeled UD Police Station, referencing a campus officer. The DOJ stated in the handbook, the handwritten notebook, Khan discussed additional weapons and firearms, how they could be used in the attack, and how law enforcement detection could be avoided once an attack was carried out. University interim president Laura Carlson said the university has temporarily separated the student from the university, including a ban from all UD campuses, while legal matters are being resolved. We've been working closely with law enforcement throughout this matter and are sharing this information with you now that we have been cleared to do so. Prosecutors reported seeing a Glock 19 with a machine gun conversion device, a 5.56 rifle with optics, a 3.57 Glock with 27 rounds, 3 extra magazines, and a ballistic plate, and a partridge in a pear tree. And they've confiscated everything, including the partridge. Acting U.S. Attorney Julianne E. Murray called the investigation an example of federal and state collaboration to prevent a threat. How about radicalizing students at colleges? What example can we get from that? Because that's what you're doing to these people, and it's what you're allowing to happen. Murray said this case is a quintessential example of federal and state law enforcement collaborating to neutralize a grave threat to Delaware before the worst could come to pass. Delaware, another Democrat shithole, and they're dealing with shootings too, as is Rhode Island. Rhode Island, another blue Democrat shithole. So you had a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island. Potential suspect in custody, and we're trying to learn more about him. We've got another alleged attack by, it's a Muslim name if I've ever heard one, Luqman Khan. If that's a different nationality, go ahead and let me know. So that's a potential Muslim that wanted to carry out a terrorist attack at their school. And now we go to Australia, where you had two, what appears to be Muslim men, a father and a son, ended up going to a beach and opening fire on Jewish students and Jewish people who were celebrating the Hanukkah, and they were chilling at the beach and enjoying themselves. See the Brown, yeah, I don't think there's anything more here. Verified the report that Erickson, 24, has not been charged and has not been named as a suspect in the shooting. Then what the fuck did you arrest him for then? The attack took place one day after the earlier Providence, Rhode Island school at about 4 p.m. Law enforcement said, prompting a shelter-in-place order that forced students and faculty to spend the night on campus. And some of the reports I was getting is everyone's finally been released, but they were held up or locked up in their dorm rooms or areas or hiding for some time. Officials have not yet released the names of those who were killed. That makes sense. Smiley, they need to inform the families first. Smiley also said that not all the victims' families have been notified as of December 14th. Law enforcement was still reviewing surveillance footage, coordinating with prosecutors, collecting evidence, and speaking to witnesses on Sunday to gather more information about the suspected shooter. So, police have released a few details about the person. It takes time. We have to make sure that we have all the right evidence to prosecute. So it seems like from some of this wording, they feel confident they have the shooter. Perez said during an afternoon news conference, Rhode Island Governor Daniel James McKee said asked the nation to pray for the victims, their families, and those involved. How about you get rid of the stupid Democrat politics and stop letting people get hurt? How about that? Let's pray for that. The community is suffering and in pain. McKee said during the news conference, we stand with you. Fuck off. The person detained was taken into custody early in the morning at a hotel in Coventry, Rhode Island. According to an FBI update, Coventry is located in Kent County, about 16 miles southwest of Brown. FBI Director Kash Patel said law enforcement used cellular data to track the person of interest to a hotel room where he was detained by U.S. Marshals and Providence Police based on a tip from the Coventry Police Department. The person, local WJAR-TV reported, was apprehended at the Hampton Inn there. Here's some of the scenes of the FBI at the hotel. Are you posing to show FBI? Are you supposed to be doing your job? And them getting supplies out of the van. Look at us doing stuff! We have deployed local and national resources to process and reconstruct the shooting scene, providing HQ and lab elements on scene, Patel wrote in an update on social media. We set up a digital media intake portal to ingest images and video from the public related to this incident. Patel said that the FBI, aided by local police, continue to investigate the case. The FBI's victim specialists are fully integrating with our partners to provide resources to victims and survivors of this horrific violence, Patel wrote. Is there only one shooter? Perez told reporters that officers are not searching for anyone else connected to the shooting and did not name the person of interest. He did not say whether they are a student or faculty member at the school. We're being told this 24-year-old. The mayor also told reporters that this case was continuing to develop and remains under investigation. So how long, and they answer some other questions. They're not really helpful. One of the things I hate is it bothers me personally is these politicians, the Providence mayor and the Rhode Island governor come out and they make this bullshit conference where they just say this is a horrible thing. We want to thank all of our first responders. This is so horrible. This happened. Our thoughts and prayers are with the community and everybody that lost someone. It is such blanket useless garbage. And you don't get anything useful from the press conference. You just get their fake platitudes because they really don't care. They allow these things to happen. They allow criminals and mentally ill on the streets. They allow these people to get guns. And they allow real American citizens to be harmed as a result of that. So the people will go, well, let's watch the press conference and get some information out of it. There's never any extra information out of it. The people on X end up tracking what's going on, tracking the people down and getting more information, just doing their own personal work than anyone does in law enforcement that they release to you on one of these bullshit press conferences. So I wanted to see. Islam has nothing to do with these Bondi beach shooters. Blame them, not Islam. No, we blame Islam too. So this is one of the shooters here. I believe is the son. That's in Australia, to be specific. He looks Muslim to me. That's a dark-skinned Muslim-looking Australian there. So I believe that they were Muslims that ended up shooting. They were jihadists. That's some of the word that's coming out right now. And these fake Islamic accounts are coming out and saying Islam has nothing to do with this. They're fucking jihadists. They're following all of your bullshit playbook. Of course Islam has something to do with it. I just wanted to see if the internet itself had any more information. We got the shitbag Tyler Robinson. He was in court for the first time officially to figure out how they're going to move forward with the case as far as allowing cameras and everything else. Joe looks like $1 million. This stupid cunt Joe on this Democrat paid whore on here, does her stupid fucking posts. And of course she's a Democrat cocksucker. So she puts up and goes, oh, President Biden looks great. President Biden looks like he died about 5 years ago and now his corpse is just walking around attending events. Fucking retards. I wanted to see if anybody else had any new information about it's a Muslim who disarmed one of them. That's what people were saying in Australia. I don't buy that at all. So we're waiting for more confirmation, really, of the Rhode Island shooter at Brown. So they have the 24-year-old in custody, but they're not officially coming out and saying that it was them. So here's the son in Australia. We're going to move on to Australia. Here's the son with a rifle. People saying they're trained. It's not that hard to fire rapid succession shots and make sure your gun's loaded properly. Okay, so that's the son. The father's been killed. The son has been taken into custody. So one of the Krasenstein retards says law enforcement has named 24-year-old Benjamin Erickson as the individual detained in connection with the Brown University shooting. Is it safe to say he wasn't transgender? How the fuck can you know that when he's wearing full clothes? Because he doesn't have makeup and a dress on? Is it safe to say he's not illegal? If this is accurate at all, the Krasensteins are both retards. But if this is the guy, it seems like a regular white guy. But if he was trans, there's no way to know that when he's... And not to mention, you can't date this photo. This photo could be before he went trans. Because I've said, I'm willing to bet it was either a Muslim or the person was trans. So which one is it when we figure out what the deal is? Okay, so let's get to this point. Let's go to Bondi Beach in Sydney. This is where the shooting. We'll move on from Brown. We'll go to the shooting in Australia, in Sydney at Bondi Beach. Get some information on that.
It was just moments ago. The Australian Health Minister reports the death toll has risen in the Sydney terror attack. At least 16 are dead. That includes a child. One suspect is in custody, another was killed, and police removed several improvised explosive devices from a nearby vehicle they say is linked to one of the shooters. In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had harsh words for Australian leaders.
It's one of the shooters?
About 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread, and the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today.
Let's bring in MS Now National Security and Intelligence Analyst Mark Polymeropoulos. He was a counterterrorism and senior intelligence officer at the CIA. Welcome, my friend. As we listen to Benjamin Netanyahu there, he's talking about having warned people about growing suspicions, growing problems with anti-Semitism there in Australia. Let's talk about that, not only what you know about Australia specific, but broader around the world.
Well, Alex, unfortunately, this is not a terrible surprise. For many of us in the counterterrorism world, we expected that there might be attacks on what we call soft targets. In this case, it was this celebration of Hanukkah, several thousand Australian Jews doing something which was a magical moment, celebrating their religion, their life, and then cut down in a horrific attack.
I don't know if it's magical.
After the events of October 7th and the Israeli, of course, wars with Iran and then Hezbollah, the decisive Israeli military successes, I think, masked what many of us thought may be coming, and that would be a response like this. And again, it's a soft target, it's undefended, and frankly, Jews around the world are at risk. Now, in Australia in particular, there has been certainly concern. The Israeli government has passed the Australian government actually information about potential terrorist attacks, and the Australian government actually kicked out the Iranian ambassador recently because Iran was seen to be behind arson attacks on some Jewish targets. And so there's a lot going on on here. But again, not a surprise that soft targets are now what we're focused on. And really, this is not just a problem in Australia, it's a global problem.
How about the investigation, though? How long does an investigation of a situation like this take to find whether there are links to larger terrorist organizations? And how do authorities look to establish those connections? How does it all happen?
So, Alex, that's a great question. And of course, you saw the Israeli government is understandably, I think, upset with the Australians for perhaps not doing enough. But under the table, behind the scenes, there will be cooperation between the Australian and the Israeli security services. Also, I think, from our country, from the United States, certainly we will assist as well. And they're going to try to find who this is. One individual who actually survived the attack, who's in custody. So they're going to take a look at their history, communications, who their associates are. And it shouldn't be very long. Plus, of course, he's under questioning right now. It shouldn't be long until we find out if there were any kind of links with groups such as Hezbollah or Iran or Hamas, or just if it's kind of general ISIS, the Salafist model. But I think we'll know quite quickly. But again, this is a wake-up call to a lot of people, I think, in the counterterrorism world. We certainly knew, but perhaps governments, that Jews are under threat. And even if we see wars, in essence, sometimes winding down, there's possibility for retaliation around the globe. And I think the security services really have to be on the ball, really not just in Australia, but everywhere, including, frankly, in the United States.
How long does it take for actors like these two to plan an attack of this scale? And would there have been indications of what was underway?
So a couple things can happen here. One is it can be a lone wolf, someone who's inspired online, for example. And so it's very difficult, in fact, to prevent this. Now, there might be even a hybrid version of this. These people might have been recruited by groups such as Iran or Hezbollah or others. And so, they're going to find out. But the problem with this, especially if it was a lone wolf attack, is it's very difficult to prevent. And I think one of the things that we should actually look for, Alex, is this was a gathering of 1,000 to 2,000 Australian Jews, a very public location, Bondi Beach. What was the police security presence there like? I'm not sure, in an after action, if it's going to be seen as sufficient. And again, as we plan for the future, this is kind of the tragedy, the tragic world we live in. We're going to have to ensure that Jews around the world are protected from security services, even if it costs an enormous amount of money, time, resources. That's what we're facing right now.
And how worried will intelligence in general be of follow-up attacks? And you have New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
And what other useless questions can I ask in this interview that aren't helpful in any way? So, for everyone that's joining us now, currently, we found out in the Australia shooting, it was a father and son. They both appear to be Muslims. I've played some video of it already. They ended up attacking Jews celebrating Hanukkah. They were on the beach. It was young kids ranging to regular older people, and they ended up going to the beach, finding themselves in position on a walk kind of above the sand and beach area, and then opening fire on the people there. Now there's some really interesting video of some people, some Australian. So first. This is disturbing. I should have said this is disturbing video before I played it. This is video allegedly from the beach following the essentially jihadist attack. Two radical Muslims, or people that have been radicalized and ended up attacking Jewish people. This is some video from the beach, allegedly, of them trying to resuscitate people that have been shot. This is obviously disturbing, so be aware. So they're attempting CPR on these people, multiple people. Some are already obviously lifeless. They've already been killed from the attack. Really disturbing stuff to see. You're just relaxing at the beach, and you're shot by two radical Muslims. It's really disgusting. Here is one guy that's being hailed as a hero at this point. I'm going to restart this video. So one gunman, the son. In this video, for context, the son is up on the bridge, and he's taking shot at people in an elevated place. The father is down here on the ground. I believe that's the father. And one man, one unarmed person, runs over, gets the guy in a headlock, and wrests the gun away from him. Check some of this video out here. So he's hiding by a car, runs over, grabs him in a headlock, snatches the gun away from him, points it at him. I would have fired at that point. He doesn't. The son is still shooting. I'm not even sure he realizes the dad got grabbed. So that person takes his gun, wrestles him, takes the gun, points it at him, and the father backs off, but he doesn't shoot. But the son, in the meantime, you can hear in the background, is still firing at people on the beach. I mean, this guy is lucky that the son didn't then turn the sights on him and shoot at him. I'm not sure he realized that that guy had wrested the gun from his father's hands. I don't know if there was additional video that was there for that, but this was Nick Sorter talking about the casualty at Brown University. I will play some more here of the just absolute idiot Australian authorities. I can't take these people. I can't take Australia seriously. Here's some of them in a press conference talking about the situation and how everything played out.
Night, I announced that I had determined that it was a terrorist activity and made a declaration as such as 9:36 p.m. As a result of that declaration, we commenced Operation ARQUES, ARQUES, which is a joint counter-terrorism operation.
Very fancy
that is
name, by the way. I'll let you know. That we came up with that all by ourselves. We didn't have any help for it. I was putting a shrimp on the barbie, and then I got the call. Unbelievable. And then we got XRY1742, and we put that into effect.
Wales Police working very closely with our Commonwealth partners to ensure that we thoroughly investigate the circumstances of the incident yesterday. We have progressed at pace overnight with that investigation, and as a result of investigations undertaken, I can say that we are not looking for a further offender. We are satisfied that there were 2 offenders involved in yesterday's incident. One is deceased, the second is in critical but stable condition in hospital at the moment.
So the dad is dead, the son is in critical condition in the hospital.
The offenders are a 50-year-old and 24-year-old male who are father and son. The 50-year-old is deceased, the 24-year-old is currently in hospital at the moment. As part of the investigation, we conducted 2 search warrants last night, one at Bonnie Rig and a second at Campsie. The 50-year-old male is a licensed firearms holder. He has 6 firearms licensed to him. We are satisfied that we have 6 firearms from the scene yesterday, but also as a result of the search warrant at the Campsie address. Ballistics and forensic.
So we ended up disarming all of our citizens and having a voluntary gun buyback program so that nobody had guns. And then we decided at the last minute, for the fucking shit of it, to give gun licenses to jihadi terrorists. Because in Australia, we're fucking retarded.
Forensic investigation will determine this morning that those 6 firearms are the 6 that were licensed to that man, but also that they were used in the offence yesterday at Bondi. We will continue to investigate this matter thoroughly. It's important for the community to have the reassurance that New South Wales Police, working with our Commonwealth partners, will not stop until we understand the reasons behind this senseless incident and take any available action that we need to do. We always work closely with our Commonwealth partners to make sure that we keep the community safe. This is a very difficult time for all law enforcement agencies, and I would really like to call out the work of New South Wales Ambulance last night, and we're joined by the Commissioner Morgan this morning. The ambulance officers were absolutely outstanding in their response. 16 deceased persons is obviously a great tragedy for this state. Our thoughts, prayers and love go out to all of the families of the deceased. We pray that those who are injured recover quickly.
You mean when they did their fucking job?
I have 2 police officers currently.
It's already over by the time they got there. The citizens did the work for them.
Critical but stable condition. And again, the thoughts of the New South Wales Police are very much with those officers and their families.
All emergency responders.
This morning we commenced Operation Shelter. It is an operation that we have previously run. We have escalated the number of police that are involved. Operation Shelter is designed to provide comfort to the Jewish community. We will make sure that we are highly visible at places of worship, places that are known to be frequented by the Jewish community, but very much in those suburbs where we know that we have a large Jewish population.
Why the hell didn't you do that
I
to
want to
begin
make it
with?
very clear that the New South Wales Police will not tolerate the types of violence or the types of anti-Semitic behaviour that we have seen. We will have 328 officers on the ground this morning as part of Operation Shelter.
Now that everybody's already been
continue to
killed,
work very closely
we decided
with the
we're going to
Jewish
send the
community
police to make sure that they can help out.
Prevent,
Fucking
but
please
also
show up
respond
after it's over.
to anything that may happen. I was very clear last night to call for calm. This is not a time for anyone to be seeking retribution. This is a time for community to grieve and to heal. The New South Wales Police will do what it does best, and that is to prevent but investigate offences that happen. And we will be here to support the community.
We show up
I might hand
after
over to
all the
Commissioner
shit
Moore
show's
if
over,
there's anything you'd like to say,
and
sir.
we clean it all up. All right, everybody, all of you out of here.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Could I just express my condolences to the victims, the families and friends, and certainly those that remain in hospital at this time. Our best wishes and prayers are going out to you. This was obviously a significant incident that has occurred at Bondi Beach last night. New South Wales Ambulance got its initial call via New South Wales Police at 18:43 last evening. Our first crews were on scene within less than 10 minutes.
Bondi, what the fuck
This
does that
took a
mean? We
response of
still
more
don't
than
know.
123 personnel from New South Wales Ambulance. Both New South Wales Police and New South Wales Ambulance worked seamlessly, I'm advised, through this entire incident in support of the community. I cannot convey how important that is. We are told stories of amazing heroism of paramedics and police working seamlessly together with members of the community. Some of our paramedics are from the Jewish community and attended that scene and continued their duties diligently and professionally. Of that initial response, New South Wales Ambulance transported 24 patients, particularly in the first wave. There were and attended 14 people who were deceased at the scene. Through the course of the evening, another 2 people succumbed to their conditions at New South Wales hospitals, and a total of 42 people attended New South Wales facilities. It is not uncommon in these major incidents for members of the community, sometimes often with very serious injuries, to make their own way to hospitals so that they are not burdening the resources of the services. This is what it means to be Australian. I do want to make the point that there is a significant amount of support available from the New South Wales health system. I could commend to the community that there are great resources available on the New South Wales Health website if you need mental health support, and some reference material if you also need that. Just in conclusion, I do want to make the point. There were some amazing lessons learned from the Bondi Westfield Shopping Centre. Last night, I am told, the command structures were seamless, the joint agency approach, the ability for paramedics with the support of police to work in these hot zones, I'm absolutely convinced contributed to the saving of lives that otherwise would have been lost.
Now, were they there when we needed them? No, they won't. Were the first responders all there when we needed them? No, they won't. But by God, they showed up after the whole thing was said and done. And we fucking applaud the whole lot of them. Thanks for showing up after the citizens had to do the goddamn work of all of us. Fucking idiots.
Finally, just one message for the first responders at these scenes. You are an inspiration to us all.
You're an inspiration.
The way you put yourself in harm's
Hugs
way,
for everyone.
your courage and resilience, we all thank you.
It's hugs and kisses. And I'm leaving this and I'm going to give you hugs and kisses right after I'm done with this.
One of the gunmen was
Crikey.
known to police. Was that gunman known to police for extremist views, and were any terror symbols displayed at the attack yesterday?
I prefer not to comment at the moment. We're still very early in the investigation.
Even though,
We'll be
yes,
happy to
that's
provide
true.
further
They
information
work both
that goes
jihadi
along.
terrorists.
I want to give
But
our
you hear the
investigators
reporter asking, because there's information out there now that these guys once again were on the radar. They were being watched by authorities. They were being watched over concerns of being radicalized in wanting to pull off an event. This happens in the United States too. What is the fucking point of having these people on the radar, and then you don't do anything about it until after the shooting happens, and then you go, well, we had them on the radar, and boy, were we just about to nab them, and they just did this instead. What the fuck are you monitoring them for if you're not going to do anything about it? fucking idiots. And it's real simple. The citizenry and the people that live there, they don't need prayers and thoughts and support. You need to kick the illegal immigrants, these immigrants that have come in from shithole countries, you need to kick them out of your country. And then you won't have these shootings. What you had here was very clear, and I'm calling it right now. You had two radical Muslims who were radicalized, one point or another. They went to on a Jewish holiday, they decided to go to the beach and shoot Jews. And they were on the radar, and you couldn't fucking figure it out. The first 30 seconds that I saw the video and heard about what was going on, I was able to piece it together. Maybe you should fucking hire me to handle all the cases you're looking at this point. If you've got people on the radar, why aren't you just having them followed 24/7? And if they go anywhere, you're taking them down immediately. What is this bullshit about when they were on the radar? Well, fucking do something about it then. All those people would be alive if you did your job.
Opportunity to investigate thoroughly without speculation. We did hear last night a lot of information was coming forward. I want to make sure that it's accurate.
Commissioner, there are reports a black ISIS-style flag was draped over the government's car. Are police aware of this? Has a flag been recovered?
That's all part of the investigation. As I just said before, I'd rather not comment on that at the moment. Obviously, we will look at the motives behind this attack. I think that's really important as part of the investigation. Our investigation will be thorough, and we will be happy to provide further information.
Was there any watch list or intelligence agency was there any indication that these shooters were known to any service ahead of time?
There was no indication to indicate that either of the men involved in yesterday's attack was planning the attack that happened yesterday.
How was the father able to get a gun license?
Did they leave any manifesto or notes?
Again, that is part of the investigation. I don't want to go into that this morning. We've got investigators that have been working around the clock. I'm incredibly proud of the work that has been...
And it's always the same thing about these press interviews. They don't have any information to give you. They don't want to comment on an active investigation, and they don't want to tell you anything the public needs to know, because if you actually give this information out and you actually give them the real deal about who the shooters were and what happened and what went down here, you'll have the community react to that. There will automatically be a reaction by everybody going, okay, stay away from Muslims. Don't go here. Scrutinize that person when he walks by you, when he's dark-skinned and he's got a big beard. Like, they want to hide this. It's inevitable that it's going to happen anyway. The people are going to find out. This information is going to be released. And they are going to take the actions that they feel they need to protect themselves and their families.
Do you have any more information on that?
No, I don't. And I think I said last night it was very limited knowledge.
Because we're a bunch of fucking retards.
No, I can't. Not this morning. That's all part of the investigation.
Can you confirm the identities of the gunmen and whether they were staying at an Airbnb in Campsie?
I can certainly indicate that they were staying at an address at Campsie. Their residential address is in Bonnyrigg. They were staying at an address in Campsie.
Prime Minister.
So they lived in Australia. They rented themselves an Airbnb and decided to stay in the area more locally. My guess is going to be to this beach. They were legally armed. Why the fuck you would legally let them get arms is beyond me. I mean, you have immigrants that come in from radical countries, and you go, oh, sure, you qualify to get a gun license? What the fuck kind of reasoning is that? They should have been on however long of a hold, even before you would even consider them. 5 years, 10 years, I don't care what it is. Prove that you're not a radical. You're not an Australian citizen. You have to prove that you can be a constructive Australian citizen. That's what they should be doing. But they don't. So you've had an attempted terror attack in Delaware. Appeared to be a Muslim. When I read that name, it's got Muslim written all over it. That was stopped. He was arrested. You have the Brown shooting in Providence, Rhode Island currently. We're trying to find more information about that guy, the 24-year-old. You have a radical Muslim shooting of Jews in Australia at this point. And even seeing the video and seeing the two of them in the pictures that I showed you, it's very clear that both appear to be Muslim. And I'm going to go to my profile here and show. So you have the people on the ground. You have the father getting tackled right here. I want to see if I had... you have the shooter of Brown allegedly being 24-year-old Benjamin Erickson. So we're still waiting for information on that. I don't know if I posted a picture of the sun as well, but I showed it earlier in the show. You can go back and you can see that information. All right, so now, as one more newest thing that has come in on my news feed, is 2 U.S. Army soldiers and an interpreter killed in Syria. Let me make sure this doesn't start. Killed in Syria ambush attack. Trump warns of very serious retaliation. This was allegedly by ISIS, I think. So President Donald Trump warned Saturday there will be a very serious retaliation after a lone Islamic State gunman in Syria killed 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a U.S. interpreter in an ambush attack. Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell announced earlier that the soldiers and interpreters were targeted in the central Syrian town of Palmyra in an attempt that left 3 others wounded. U.S. Central Command said the deaths and injuries were a result of an ambush by a lone ISIS gunman in Syria. So ISIS isn't gone yet. Al-Qaeda isn't gone yet. We've nearly wiped them out, but the ideology is still there and people are still joining up for it. We mourn the loss of 3 great American patriots in Syria, 2 soldiers and 1 civilian interpreter. Likewise, we pray for 3 injured soldiers who, it has just been confirmed, are doing well. This was an ISIS attack against the U.S. and Syria in a very dangerous part of Syria. This is not fully controlled by them, Trump wrote on Truth Social. President of Syria, Ahmed al-Shahar, is extremely angry and disturbed by this attack. By the way, he is a former terrorist turned politician. I believe he was part of like either Al-Qaeda or an anti-government unit where he planned out attacks against them. He has now voted in and become the president of Syria. He's very extremely angry and disturbed by the attack, and there will be serious retaliation, he added. So we'll see what really comes of that. In comments to reporters outside of the White House on Saturday, Trump also said this was an ISIS attack on U.S. and Syria, and again, we mourn the loss and we pray for them and their parents and their loved ones. Parnell wrote in X, the attack happened as the soldiers were conducting a key leader engagement. Their mission was in support of ongoing counter-ISIS, counterterrorism operations in the region, he added, noting that the soldiers' names as well as identifying information about their units are being withheld until 24 hours after the next of kin notification. I can completely understand that. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that the savage who perpetrated the attack was killed by partner forces. Let it be known, if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you, Hegseth also said in a post on X. Parnell said the attack is currently under investigation. A Pentagon official told Fox News Digital that the attack unfolded in a place where the Syrian president Ahmad al-Shahar does not have control. So they're saying this was like contested, and that's him right there. He's a former terrorist. He is now the president of Syria. He was meeting with President Trump while they're working with Syria to establish just normalcy within Syria. It's just been like a war-torn nation that has constantly had problems. It's had Russia intervening because Russia has been kind of a helper or ally of Syria as well. So it's been a place of a lot of contention. I'm praying for the brave U.S. soldiers and civilians who lost their lives, those who are injured in this attack, and the families who bear this profound loss. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll wrote on X, the men and women who serve our country represent the very best of our nation. We mourn the passing of these heroes and honor their service and sacrifice. A senior U.S. official earlier confirmed to Fox News there were multiple injuries after American service members were ambushed in Syria. The United States CIA and military forces are reportedly deeply involved in securing and stabilizing the situation in Syria. Dan Diker, that's a cool name, president of the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs, recently told Fox News Digital the injured in Saturday's attack were taken by helicopters to the Al-Tanf garrison, which is near the border with Iraq and Jordan, the Associated Press reported, citing Syrian state media. So what are we starting to see here? We're starting to see attacks by radical Muslims around the world in close succession to each other. So in today's update so far, I've told you about a Muslim student in Delaware that was planning an attack on his college, and he was caught in the act. I told you about allegedly radical Muslims in Sydney, Australia, shooting at Jews on the beach celebrating Hanukkah. Now we've got an attack at Brown University in Rhode Island, and we're trying to establish what the motive of that 24-year-old was. And you have an ISIS soldier attacking U.S. Army soldiers and an interpreter, and seriously wounding one, and I think killing the remainder. So, here's the thing, and it's a little bit of food for thought. There's a lot of back and forth in feelings about people attacking Israel. You have Candace Owens and Ian Carroll, those two lying grifters. They are just, everything that happens is Israel's fault. The reason you couldn't find your car keys this morning, that was Israel's fault. The reason the line at Dunkin' Donuts was really long on your way to work, that was also Israel's fault. They're out of their goddamn minds. But what I don't see is Israel leading terrorist attacks against Americans. I don't see Israel leading terrorist attacks against Americans in America. I don't see Israel leading terrorist attacks against Americans in Syria that are on patrol and are on a training exercise. I don't see that. So where this thought process comes from, you have to hate Israel, you have to hate their government, they are the bad guys, and then we give the Muslim community a free pass on everything that they're doing. Radical Muslims. And then they turn around and go, oh, these people weren't real Muslims. They weren't really following the Quran. Really? Because the Quran, I'm pretty sure, has writing in it that says that you need to defeat everyone that are not followers of the Quran and followers of Allah. It says in there, I believe, again, and if I'm wrong, someone can correct me, that Muslims don't have the technology and the numbers to defeat all of their enemies in the world. So they have to do it through subversion. They have to do it through infiltrating countries and groups and being insidious. And we've seen that happening. We've seen it happening in England, and Muslims are being voted in leadership bases as mayors, even making runs for prime minister. You're seeing it in France, where they take over entire areas and they become Sharia law. You're now seeing it in the United States, where Muslims are getting voted in to House and Senate positions, and they're running locally in office for mayor and governor, with some of them getting voted in. So you're seeing their ideology get played out in real time. They've said we have to be insidious. They've said we have to show up, and we have to take control of what's happening and insert ourselves into your nations. That is how they take over. And they're doing that, and everyone's ignoring it and going, yeah, but what about the Jews, though? Like, what the fuck? People need to wake up. I mean, is there a concern about the Israeli government having influence on our politicians and how we do things? Yes, I think there's some concerns there. Do I think their lobbyists and the money that they're donating to politicians is a concern? Yes, I think so as well. But two things can be true at once. We can have concerns about the Jewish lobby and some of the influence they may have, while also simultaneously having a concern about the Muslim issue and how we deal with that as well. We do not have to focus on one exclusively. They are both problems, and we're not paying proper attention to it. And yesterday and today, between all of these attacks and everything that just happened, is just, it should be an alarm bell for everyone about how we're not paying attention to these things. And people, people really need to wake up and start paying more attention to these Muslim groups. And there's something else I've thought about as well, and I wanted to share with it. And it's one of the things you'll notice is these groups will come into countries, but they won't actively get involved in some of the things that are going on until they decide to pull off some sort of mass shooting for their own personal gains. And this is what I mean by that. We have Muslims in this country, and based by their religion and their law, LGBTQ plus minus divided by sign is not supported by them at all. And a matter of fact, they'll end up putting people to death that are like that in some of their countries that they come from. But what you notice is they don't come out and target LGBTQ parades. They don't come out and target LGBTQ events. If you're in this country and you're against that, why don't you also come out and become a part of it and stand up against it? Or why don't they take some sort of, and I don't advocate for the violence, But why don't they come out and take some sort of terrorist action against an LGBTQ parade? But they will come out and shoot some Jews at an event, some people at a nightclub, or, some other thing. But they won't directly get involved in anything else. Why is that? They could be friends or allies of the American people if they took their religion and their strong beliefs and they stood beside us to contest some of these things that are like tearing down American society. They don't do it. Why? Because they're sitting back and they're waiting for us to tear each other apart. That's why. They don't want to actively get involved in helping us because that could put them at a disadvantage. And they are not here in this country, or any other country for that matter, for the people of that country. They are there for themselves. That's the reason if we're having an LGBTQ fight, you'll find that we're fighting it by ourselves. But when something else happens, you'll find that then they're involved. There's a terrorist action, then they're involved because they went for a very specific thing. So these people who have the potential to be allies of their host countries are in fact not allies. And the reason is because they're sitting back and they're waiting for you to tear each other apart. And they will come like carrions, and they will pick apart the carcasses of everything that's left. They are not in our countries to help. They are not in our countries to be allies. They're in our countries to subvert as much as they possibly can. And then when we've torn each other apart, they're there to pick up the scraps and move forward with their own particular agenda. And this is the problem that people need to wake up to. They need to pay more attention to this. Ask yourself why all these particular groups that are so fundamentally opposed to some of the things that happen in our country or yours, and they sit back and they do nothing. Why do they sit back and do nothing? Why are you fighting by yourself against these things, and they, who are even more opposed to it than you, sit and do nothing? It's an interesting point, isn't it? It's something to think about. I mean, if you're, there's a saying, especially in politics too, and it's if your opponent is making mistakes, do not get in their way. Do not step in and put yourself in the limelight and have the focus shift to you. Continue to allow your opponent or your enemy to keep making mistakes. Don't help them and bail them out of the situation. This is what they do when they're in our country. They sit back and they watch us attack each other, and they do nothing. Until it's the time where they feel like taking an action of their own in a deadly attack, like an attempted one in Delaware, or the beach in Sydney, Australia. Then a group of them will go and just go do their own thing, on their own. Other than that, you won't see them stepping in to help you with the things that are important to you. Okay. So we've gone over those two shootings there. One of the other things I wanted to do was there was the tanker that was taken over by us. I want to get a little bit of that because that was really interesting. This was in Venezuela, so bear with me 1 minute.
Now to the rising tensions.
So let's bring this over here because I just wanted to touch on this. This is one of the stories I wasn't able to cover as well. So a couple of days ago, a Venezuelan oil tanker was taken over by force by the United States. It was the Coast Guard in conjunction with the U.S. Navy, in which U.S. Coast Guardsmen, I guess, were lowered down by helicopter onto the deck of the tanker. And there's video of all of this. And they took over the tanker. Here it is.
Between the U.S. and Venezuela, U.S. officials say more seizures of oil tankers are on the horizon after the U.S. military seized a Venezuelan ship in the Caribbean earlier this week. The U.S. is also deploying 15,000 troops to the Caribbean, along with the USS Gerald Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier. Now, since September, the U.S. has hit more than 20 suspected drug boats, killing more than 80 people. Now to the rising tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela. U.S. officials say more seizures of oil tankers are on the horizon after the U.S. military seized a Venezuelan ship in the Caribbean earlier this week. The U.S. is also
okay. So what the interesting point about this is, so a joint Navy Coast Guard team ended up taking a large Venezuelan tanker in international waters. Now, the reasoning behind this that we have been told so far was this tanker was flying a different flag. First of all, it was faking what it was doing. I guess there's an embargo or sanctions on Venezuela selling their oil to China and other kind of combative countries, and they're not supposed to be doing that. So allegedly, they snuck this tanker out in order to facilitate the sale of the oil within it, kind of using a false flag operation. So they had a different flag on it, they had a different registration on it, they were lying about the tanker's actual intentions. I think it even stopped in a different port than its intended port. That was where it was intending to go, or at least that was what it was faking its logbooks with. So the U.S. ended up seizing this based on those grounds, and it was illegally transporting oil that was being sanctioned by the United States to a country it wasn't supposed to sell to. So the Navy and Coast Guard ended up boarding this vessel, taking it over, and now there's up in the air about what the U.S. intends to do with this tanker from this point forward, because I believe the thing was fully fueled. I think I'm not sure they had the opportunity to sell all the goods on it. So I think we've got a fully fueled tanker at this point. Now, and of course, there's a contention about this. Now, we didn't take it in Venezuelan waters. I believe we took it in international waters. So, there's a little less of the politics of it if you take something in free waters as opposed to waters controlled by the host state. But one of the other interesting things about this that happened almost at the same time. So you've got Nicolas Maduro, the dictator who is in charge of Venezuela. You have people who are attempting to run against him in order to get him out of office and get a more kind of democratic leader that will work for the people and won't be a dictator. The day before this happens, one of the opponents that are running against Nicolas Maduro was helped by the United States to escape Venezuela. So, Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado appeared in downtown Oslo in the early hours of Thursday morning after a high-risk escape from Venezuela. So this woman is running against Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. She's the opposition party. They are trying to take over and bring, essentially peace and calm to Venezuela. A high-risk escape from Venezuela that involved disguises, a fishing boat, and a private jet, according to a detailed account in the Wall Street Journal. Machado, 58, appeared on the balcony of Oslo's historic Grand Hotel around 2:30 a.m. local time Thursday, greeting cheering supporters just hours after her daughter accepted the Nobel Peace Prize on her behalf because she had missed the official ceremony, because she was still attempting to escape from Venezuela at the time. The reason she's been attempting to escape is the Maduro regime has said that her and her supporters are not allowed to leave the country. They've been locked down and told they're not allowed to travel at all. Now, keep in mind, this is the woman that's running against him for a political party. So imagine if we did that in the United States and a Democrat was running against a Republican and either or party said, you're not allowed to leave the United States. There's some states you're not even allowed to travel to. Imagine that happening. The people would be in an uproar. In Venezuela, they're doing this to her normally. The Nobel Committee previously cited her tireless work promoting democratic rights against President Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian government. Machado is the most prominent figure in Venezuela's fractured opposition and leader of the party that won a disputed 2024 presidential election with 67% of the vote, according to international allies. So she should be the president of the country right now. Maduro refuses to turn over control to anyone. Maduro's government claimed victory instead, triggering a crackdown of arrests, raids, and intimidation that drove Machado into hiding and deepened the country's isolation. Her sudden arrival in Norway escalates an already tense standoff between Maduro and President Donald Trump, whose administration has deployed, the largest U.S. naval presence in the Caribbean since the Cuban Missile Crisis and carried out lethal strikes on boats it says were trafficking drugs. The White House accuses Maduro of overseeing powerful drug cartels. Machado's Nobel win has sharpened Venezuela's political polarization, with Maduro branding her a demonic witch and denouncing the prize as a foreign meddling, even as foreign governments rally behind her and call for a transition to democracy. According to the Wall Street Journal, Machado began her escape on Monday afternoon from a suburb, this is last week, a suburb of Caracas where she had been hiding for about a year. Disguised with a wig and accompanied by 2 helpers, she spent roughly 10 hours traveling by road to a coastal fishing village, passing through 10 military checkpoints without being detained. After resting briefly at the coast, Machado and her companions boarded a small wooden fishing skiff around 5 a.m. for a dangerous crossing of the Caribbean Sea to Curaçao, battling strong winds and rough seas that slowed their progress, the journal reported. The escape network, which has helped others flee Venezuela, said it alerted the U.S. military before the boat set up to avoid it being mistaken for a target. Now, I've heard that we actually assisted in this escape. There is supposed to be CIA on the ground. It's possible CIA assisted her in getting away, and then they informed the U.S. ships that they were going to be out there. But I think we had a little bit more direct involvement in helping to get her out. People familiar with the operation said the Trump administration was aware of the escape bid, though U.S. officials denied that the military was directly coordinating with the group, and of course they're going to say that. Around the time of the crossing, U.S. Navy F-18 fighter jets flew in tight circles near the route from Venezuela's coast to Curaçao, according to flight tracking data, like they were covering her. In case Venezuela sent planes or ships, there were F-18s covering her. So we were assisting. Machado arrived in Curaçao around 3 p.m. Tuesday, where she was met by a private security contractor described as specializing in extractions and supplied by the Trump administration. I mean, that could have been the formerly Blackwater, for all we know. I know they have new leadership and they changed their name, but Blackwater was one of the largest private military groups, but there are others. Exhausted, she checked into a hotel overnight before boarding an executive jet provided by an associate in Miami. The plane flew from Curaçao to Oslo with a refueling stop in Bangor, Maine, according to the same account. Before boarding, Machado recorded a brief audio message thanking so many people who risked their lives to get her out of Venezuela. In a separate audio published by the Nobel Peace Prize Committee on Wednesday, she confirmed she had left Venezuela and was traveling to Oslo to join the prize festivities. Despite that, the Nobel Institute told Norwegian media it did not know her whereabouts as the reward ceremony began for her protection. At the event, Nobel Committee Chairman Jørgen Wotny Friednes described Machado's journey as taking place in a situation of extreme danger. Because Machado did not arrive in time, her daughter, Anna Karina Sosa, accepted the Peace Prize on Wednesday, telling the Oslo audience she will be back in Venezuela very soon. Which I find... here's the part here that I want to get into. So, they snuck her out of... she was supposed to get this Peace Prize and she wasn't allowed to leave by Maduro. With help of the United States, we sneak her out of Venezuela in order to receive the Peace Prize. But really, I thought it was just to get her out of there and get her to safety. Because chances are, at some point, she would have been targeted and killed. I find it very odd that we're going to sneak her back into Venezuela again. That just doesn't make any sense. So you snuck out in violation of Maduro's regime. When you go back, chances are he will immediately arrest you, or worse. And we're going to send her back to a firing squad? I understand that many countries will want her to run for office, but how do you safely allow her to run for office within Venezuela's borders when Maduro is going to make sure she's locked down? I don't think it's that simple to just return her back to Venezuela after sneaking her out illegally, according to the Maduro regime. So it's really going to be interesting how that plays out. But so the U.S. helps to get her out on Wednesday, and then we seize a Venezuelan oil tanker on Thursday by force. I just think the timing of everything is really convenient. And I don't know if that means that the U.S. is going to ramp up escalations. Like, we get her out of there, Then we take one of their, I don't care what waters it was in, international or regular. We take one of their freighters by force. Take the crew hostage, I assume. Now we have the ship. We haven't returned it yet. And I don't know what we're doing it. Trump jokingly said, I don't know, maybe we'll keep it. Maybe we'll keep the oil for ourselves. So when he was interviewed about it. So, I mean, seizing something from another country militarily is basically an act of war. If someone seized a U.S. vessel or a Navy vessel and it was another country, that would basically be an act of war. Whether we decided to move forward with it fully or not, that's what it is. So this ship belonged to Venezuela. We took it by force. That's an act of war against Venezuela. So I'm just wondering if after getting her out, we're going to ramp up operations against Venezuela. We're going to go in there more directly against Maduro. You know, there's already a price tag on his head. The American government put like $50 million for anyone that can capture Maduro. So there's that as well. So I look for this to really, I think, blow up into something larger after we took the ship. So we get her out of there and we get her to safety, and then we seize a gigantic oil tanker, like one of the biggest that are built. And if it was full to the brim of oil, there's a fair amount in there as well that we just stole from Venezuela. So we'll see what that turns into. And again, I showed the video earlier of our forces forcibly boarding the boat. Okay, in wrapping up here, maybe something a little more lighthearted. I don't know. I wanted to catch up with a couple of things. The Miss World competition. Normally, this isn't my cup of tea. So you have like Miss America, you have Miss World. These women go into these events and they showcase their talent and they talk about what's important to them. They want world peace or whatever it is. One particular contestant, and I don't know if she was the one that ended up winning. I think it was very interesting. She was Miss World Chile. Her talent that she ended up doing was singing death metal. She was a death metal singer. So I think if you want to get more people interested, you should start spicing it up, Miss World and Miss Universe, with some stuff like this. Here's Miss Chile doing her, each one gets to choose something, spin a plate, juggle shit, I don't know, whatever they want to do. She decides to do death metal. She gets on stage, and here's her thing. You see this pretty done-up woman. She's in her dress, and she's doing this. It's crazy. Death metal. So there was just a clip of that when she was playing it. You know what? Give us more of that, and maybe we'll watch the Miss World competition. But I just thought that was so cool that somebody came up and just did something completely different that you've never seen before. And this done-up woman that's petite and all that comes up and is like, I'd like to show you my talent. And I'd like to share it with the world. And then it's, she's doing her thing. It was freaking great. All right. Here's another one that I didn't get to, and it's Kim Kardashian ends up getting a scan, a neurological scan, and shows it ends up she ends up having low brain activity. First of all, who didn't already know this? But according to the doctor, this is a particular medical thing she's going through. Notice I use the bunny quotations very very strongly for this. But here's this.
So what the holes mean is low activity compared to this one. The front part of your brain,
I don't know if you can hear that properly,
is less active than it should be. With your frontal lobes as they work now, it would be harder to manage stress. And that's not good for you, especially as you're studying and you're getting ready to take the boards.
That just can't be. It just can't. Not accepting.
For whatever reason, you're not getting, and it could be the chronic stress that you've been under trying to think about taking the boards in a couple of months and studying 10 hours a day, not to mention all the other things that go on in your life.
Yeah.
But we have to make it better.
I gotta get on a plan to really figure this out because I have some to do this.
We can figure it out. You're a dumb bitch. We already knew that right from the get-go. So apparently the big thing that's with the Kardashian now is she's attempting to study for the bar to become a lawyer. I don't know if she's been using AI to help her out with this or she's been cheating in order to try to do it and she failed once. You know, there's a whole bunch of information going around. I don't know what's for sure. But her frontal lobe is not functioning as it should. So she's dealing with a deficiency and doing everything. And, I mean, just color me shocked. Color me shocked that the Kardashians have been diagnosed with malfunctioning and low producing frontal lobes because I never would have thought of it. I thought they were just super talented whores with big tits and big asses. Other than that, I had no idea that they were functioning below the level of everyone else. So seriously, just absolutely color me shocked that we're finding out that Kim Kardashian has low brain activity. I mean, who would have thunk it? But that was another story that I didn't get to, and I just wanted to get that out of the way as another who didn't fucking see that coming. I've never watched the Kardashians or whatever the show is called, but I've seen TikTok videos from women making fun of them, and it just shows me that it's some of the low IQ, low brain activity, dumb shit that you could ever find in watching this fucking show when you see these women, these sisters interacting with each other. They're just rich, dumb bitches who probably have not had an original thought between the pair of them at all. And you'll say, well, oh yeah, man, then how come they've got $1 million companies and they're selling their brands? Because whores sell brands. Whores make money. People buy their shit. Sex sells. They are not intelligent people to figure out that they're good looking and they can turn that into monetization. Fucking ridiculous that anyone they can't put this together. So Kim Kardashian has a low brain activity. What way to blow my fucking mind about telling me that. In one final one here, and I want to wrap it up. And it's this asshole influencer here that I just kind of stumbled across. I had no idea who this asshole was. Apparently, and this is coming from TMZ, he has been handing out machetes, booze, and cigarettes to homeless people on the street. Let's check this out here.
Aspiring social media influencer Keith Castillo is going viral right now for handing out machetes, booze, and cigarettes to homeless people. Castillo, who goes online by the username POV Wolfie, posted a video on Thanksgiving Day of him handing out the deadly weapons to the homeless community, and a woman even asks him for one more. The video is just one in a whole series he calls Keeping the Homeless in the Streets. He's visited Austin, Little Rock, New Orleans, and says he plans to hit Las Vegas, New York, and Skid Row in LA next. He told the New York Post he purchased the machetes in bulk from Harbor Freight for less than $5 each. Castillo claims he also talked to police who assured him he's not doing anything illegal. He also didn't seem to...
I find that seriously hard to believe. So you're giving... cigarettes and alcohol, which is not in itself illegal, you can, as long as they're above 21. If you want to give that to the homeless, you can give it to the homeless. But then he's giving them weapons. A fair amount of the homeless community is also mentally ill. They're suffering from mental issues. You are handing them all weapons. My guess is going to be, because I don't follow this asshole, my guess is going to be that it's under the guise of being able to protect themselves from others that would take advantage of them, either within their own homeless community or somebody else that would want to harm them for some reason because you have nothing better to do with your time than go beat up a homeless person. I don't know. But my guess is going to be that he's saying he's given these machetes to these people as a defense mechanism for them. What's really shocking to me, and I don't necessarily buy it, is that the police have said that there's no problem here, it isn't illegal that you're doing that. So you mean to tell me, because in some states there's a limit on the blade you can have and how long the blade is. For example, you might not be allowed to have a knife that's 6 inches long, that the blade is 6 inches long. It's illegal. He's handing out machetes that are beyond 6 inches. So if any of the states have these rules in place, you are handing out weapons that are technically illegal to have on your person. So how he's getting away with this is absolutely beyond me, but arming the mentally ill homeless population is just, I suppose in a way it's brilliant because you have the potential of causing absolute mass chaos. It's like, what if you just gave every mentally ill person a gun and homeless person a gun and said, have a good day, I expect to hear some funny results tomorrow. It's crazy.
Concerned with handing out alcohol to potential substance abusers, saying, honestly, I don't care, bro. It's good for the clicks and views, you know? Gotta do what we have to so we eat. The Austin, Little Rock, and New Orleans police departments did not respond to requests for comment from the New York Post.
That's convenient. So, this asshole's doing it for clicks and likes and all this stuff and pretending he's like doing something for the homeless community, and she makes a good point. She says, you're giving alcohol to people who are very likely abusing alcohol, and it isn't helping them get back on their feet. In fact, it's making their lives worse that they're that dependent on the alcohol. Then you're giving them the cigarettes, almost the same deal. They're reliant on cigarettes. They're going to try and get them. They're going to try and get more. You give money to a homeless person thinking that you're helping them, and they end up buying either booze or cigarettes. And then on top of that, you're giving all of these people that are drunk, smoking cigs, potentially already mentally ill, and you're handing out machetes to them. He's getting clicks and likes, he's getting exposure. This is how pieces of shit like him get their views up and get their clicks and their likes up, and they end up putting the entire community at risk. Because that homeless encampment that you're walking by every day on the way to the work or way to the store, or that your daughter is going to go to the store with her friends or the park, is now potentially armed with machetes and booze because of this fucking fat piece of shit. So, again, you got people like myself that are trying to do a show, and we're trying to get viewers and get, likes and people following the show the old-fashioned way, just giving you some news, giving you the real truth of what's going on, and talking to all of you. And then you got these fucking scumbags that go out and they get clicks and likes by doing some of the dumbest fucking shit that you can find, and people eat it up like candy. It's crazy. There was another influencer, he's been arrested now, that went to a supermarket, a Walmart supermarket, and I watched a podcast on this, and he sprayed all of the fruit in the fruit section with bug killer. Now, apparently the bug killer that he was using wasn't, like, it couldn't kill a person, but because it was made of a different chemical compound, but it would make you very sick if you ended up ingesting it. He put this on video. He went to the Walmart supermarket section of the Walmart, video recorded this, either himself or with the help of somebody else. And he took the bug spray and he sprayed all of the bananas, apples, all the fruit, everything with this, and he's giggling and laughing about it. So, and then he ended up getting caught, of course, because the fucking retard put it on video, and then he ended up getting prosecuted, and I think he's facing significant jail time at this point if he hasn't already been convicted. But this is what these fucking retards do. This is what people are gravitating towards. You get the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet that find something in order to get them clicks, likes, and views, and they go and they do this bullshit to the detriment of the entire community. The homeless, the taxpayers, everybody else in between, and they go and do this shit. And this fucking, I don't know, I don't necessarily believe that the police said it's fine that you're doing this, but let's say for the sake of argument that they did. I cannot believe it's legal. It's legal for you or I to go out and hand weapons to people, and potential weapons to people out on the street. And they're letting him get away with this. And then somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get stabbed or cut up. And they're going to go, hey, where'd that homeless guy get that machete from? Oh, this asshole influencer that got, 50,000 views because he did this fucking bullshit. And then you have regular people like myself who are trying to do a show, trying to bring you the news, trying to keep you up about what's going on. And you struggle to get people to join into your show and become part of everything. And really, the only mistake I'm making is I just have to go out to the homeless community and hand them machetes and booze. And I can double my entire viewership. I can triple it. It's just, it's absolutely fucking retarded that people are tuning into this shit. I'm sure he's got a lot of, I'm sure he's got a lot of comments. I'm sure he's got a lot of negative stuff. He's trying to use the homeless to solve the homeless problem. Yeah, that's one. It's called The Purge. Yeah, that's another. Have them take themselves out. I suppose if that was his plan, it's brilliant. This dude needs to be charged with any crimes these people commit with the weapons he gave him. Absolutely. Whoa, bro, where I sat. Yeah, seriously, deport that dumb fuck. Yeah, why not pass out food, blankets, and clothes? Which, by the way, gets just as many views, I think. It gets a lot of views, too, when they give them food and blankets and free clothes and different stuff, and they help them out and they record it. That gets you all the view. It's questionable about whether you're doing it for yourself or for them, but it gets you a lot of views and a lot of interaction on your page. But instead, this fucking dude is booze, cigarettes, and weapons. Great things to hand out. Walmart still sells machetes? No, he said he got them from somewhere else. It wasn't Walmart. What did they say? He got them from Harbor Freight, or whatever the fuck it is, Harbor Freight. The supply store that sells tools and jacks and all that different stuff. He got them from there, it said. It's totally legal, but so wrong in so many ways. Crime and possible murder would definitely go up because of this guy. Yeah, totally. If it's legal to hand those out because they're not considered, I don't know why a machete wouldn't be considered the potential of a deadly weapon, but all right. But apparently it's legal. It's crazy. Yeah, get rid of the internet. Bunch of idiots trying to be famous. It totally is. Have you seen the influencers that have just recently all died? So there's one where she was like Mrs. Cosmetic or something like that. She had upgraded her boobs to like triple LG or some fucking designation that they were. She had tattooed all of her skin, and then apparently she had tattooed her eyeballs as well. She just fell off of a balcony in did I not post the story? I don't think I did. I thought I did. I thought I put it on my TikTok. Mary Magdalene. She called herself Mary Magdalene. That wasn't her real name. Model known for extreme cosmetic surgeries, including 38J implants, dies after falling from high-rise apartment. And a couple people were joking, well, was she leaning over the edge and her tits just took her the rest of the way and she fell down? But here's a story of this influencer. Here's a picture of her. She's had a ridiculous amount of work done. So plastic surgery over enthusiast Mary Magdalene, so named after Jesus' mom, has died after she reportedly fell from a high-rise apartment in Thailand. She was on vacation in Thailand. The heavily tattooed Instagram model, known for her 38J 11-pound breast implants, fell 9 stories, according to friends. Death followed the apartment arrival. Magdalene, real name Denise Jarvis Gongora, was staying in the beach town of Patong on Phuket Island, Phuket, but I say fuck it, Thailand, at the time of her death on December 9th. According to a local news outlet that referred to a then-identified Magdalene as a Mexican tourist, her body was found in the apartment building's parking area by staff just before 2 p.m. Local time that day, a preliminary investigation of her 9th floor balcony found a pair of flip-flops apparently belonging to the model, who had checked in less than a half hour before her death and was due to check out the next day. There's a picture of her right now tatted head to toe. Friend Eden the Doll Estrada wrote via an Instagram story, I originally went on this vacation for a possible surgery and planned the entire trip around spending time with my friend Mary, who was also staying in Phuket. Unfortunately, I was not in the right state of mind to do either. Being in physical pain and mourning while stuck 8,000 miles away from home is a special kind of hell. Because of this, I didn't get to see Mary, who I went to fuck it for," she continued. "While on my flight home last night, I found out she had passed away hours after we were supposed to meet," she added. "I was so devastated. Hold your loved ones close. You never know when the last time you'll see or speak with them." Magdalene's brother Ivan shared a tribute, which that's not very Mexican name, is it, Ivan? She's supposed to be Mexican. Her brother's name's Ivan. With a photo of the siblings at lunch writing, "I wish I'd spent more time getting to know you. You are so funny and so creative, way more than I'll ever be. I love you more than words will ever say. You are my world. I wish things were different. Thank you for everything. I love you, sis." Here's a picture of that freak right there. I just got my eyes tattooed. Her face looks like an alien from some movie I watched. Magdalene underwent numerous extreme plastic surgeries and procedures. She revealed in January she got her eyes tattooed. I cannot imagine the pain of getting your eye tattooed. She had massive breast implants, rear end enhancements, and numerous other plastic surgeries after getting her first procedure done at the age of 18. Magdalene suffered, I like how they say massive breast enhancements and rear end enhancements. I think the rear end enhancements were massive too, but they didn't say it for that part. So Magdalene suffered a significant setback in early February 23 when one of her 38J breast implants exploded, leaving her with a uniboob. I can only imagine what a uniboob looks like. "My breast implant popped again," she explained at the time, telling fans she was planning to have surgery to take them both out next week. "I'm going to have my uniboob removed." Taking it as a sign that she'd gone too far with plastic surgery, Magdalene confessed, "I'm going to go back natural in not only I'm assuming boobs, they blanked it out, I have no idea why, boobs, but other parts of my body too." Magdalene shared a haunting final Instagram post on December 9th before her death that was nothing like the usual shots of her original artwork and selfies. It was of Jim Carrey in the final scene of the 1998 film The Truman Show, with his character coming out to tell the viewers who have been watching his entire life, "And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." It was accompanied by a childhood photo of Magdalene looking so sweet and innocent. She troublingly changed the handle of one of her Instagram photo accounts to "Mary Magdalene Died." So, by the way, this picture here someone posted, that's what she looked like before she went through all this bullshit. And she was a normal woman before she did it all. And that's what happens with some of these women is they become, I don't know what it is. They get pushed by a certain way they have to look. They don't like the way they look naturally. So they go off the deep end with all of these enhancements and injections and everything else. And just they make themselves ugly. They were already pretty naturally on their own. They make themselves ugly with everything that people like this Mary Magdalene did. And then they become super depressed that they did it all and life isn't the way they wanted it. It's like very similar to going trans. You go through the whole thing thinking that it's going to be the solution to all of your problems and your mental health. You will feel better. And then you go through all of it, and at the end of that road, or halfway through that road, you realize you've been through an extreme amount of pain. You are not happy. It has not helped to make your life better. And you are now severely depressed as opposed to when you were normal and you could have managed it. And it says she fell off the balcony. It sounds like she committed suicide. But I'm willing to bet her gigantic breasts help her take the journey down. It helped to weigh her down. And so, Mary Magdalene, we salute you. But these fake content creators online. There was another one in, and I'll stop ranting after this. There was another one on TikTok that was a food influencer. This guy cooked all kinds of food, did all kinds of shit, and he had, again, millions of followers. I bet this chick had millions of followers too. Millions of followers. He ended up being shot dead by police because he was having some sort of episode, going nuts, and threatened police with a knife. This is what's happening, and the point that I'm making here for like content creators like myself that are trying to start a show, trying to do something genuine. You have these asshole influencers that are just the worst humans you can find, and then you elevate them to the top status and give them millions of followers. They were barely capable of being a human being before you made them famous. And then when you made them famous, they became a scumbag human being that couldn't handle the whole thing. I mean, how many influencers have you heard about influencers in the past, 3 weeks that have killed themselves or been killed? Some of the stories I got about the deaths of all of these was crazy. And I'm like, they're all pieces of shit. That's the reason they're either being shot dead, killing themselves, getting into crazy shit. There was another Mexican woman that was also an influencer. She was modeling, doing stuff online. She ended up being in her car, and then she ended up being shot by someone. One of either her crazed followers or an ex-boyfriend or whatever it was. She was trying singing as well. She was singing and modeling. She was killed too. Millions of followers as well. All of these influencers are just pieces of shit that we should not be looking up to in any way, shape, or form. I hate seeing these people online and on TikTok. They're the biggest fucking morons, and they've got 2 million, 3 million followers. It's absolutely crazy. So another one very likely ended up killing herself. She just fell off of a balcony. It's possible she was having some dark thoughts and whatever it was, and she decided to go all the way. But yeah, this is these people that people are following, and I'm sure a lot of people are just interested by the story, right? You look at their crazy story and life, and you feel better about your life. I get it. But there's a million more that just find them interesting and like following them and think it's great stuff. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you got people that are trying to bring you the news, bring you what's going on in real world events, and I'll fight every day to just to scrape more followers for my show. In the meantime, if I just got myself 38 J tits and a fake implanted ass and tattooed my entire body, I could potentially quadruple my following by next week. It's just absolute fucking retardation to the highest degree. But okay, there's a Sunday shitbag roundup. That's what we got. All of these shootings. Brown University, Sydney, Australia. I mean, it's Hanukkah, and it seems like there's the potential that Jews were targeted. We have to find out more about Brown University, about whether that shooter went after Jews or there was a different dynamic happening in that situation. But crazy stuff happening, folks. Please, I appreciate it if you like, share, and support the show. Subscribe to the show. Help me grow in followers so that I don't have to get myself 38 J tits in order that you guys will find me interesting and follow me. I'd like to avoid that if it's at all possible. So thanks everyone for following the show, tuning in and checking it out. And I'll talk to everybody again real soon. Thank you, everyone.